I have liked pretty much everything I've seen from Ryan Coogler so far. I mean, if we run down the list, Fruitvale Station, his debut, was really solid. Creed has to be in the conversation of the best sequel, reboot, whatever you put in that category of movie. Creed is probably the best at doing that. Black Panther, I'm in the minority on. I think it is a Marvel movie. It's got cool world building and the character is awesome. I just don't really love a lot of the Marvel movies. I did think Wakanda Forever was actually pretty impressive considering he had to deal with Chadwick Boseman's passing and rework the entire story. And I think I like it a little bit more in the first Black Panther, so a lot of people already tuned out of this video. But I think with that slate of 4 movies, it is fair to say that Ryan Coogler is one of the more exciting filmmakers working today. Because even when he is working within a franchise like Marvel or Rocky, he just has such an authentic voice that he tells his stories with that it makes whatever he's working on feel more fresh than the franchise itself. And I think over the next few years, we're going to see a lot of kids going to film school, and when the teacher goes around and asks who's your favorite director or why were you inspired to make movies, I think a lot of these kids are going to start saying Ryan Coogler. He has that feel of kind of mainstream mode right now where a lot of people that don't watch a lot of movies still know who Ryan Coogler is. And that is the type of guy that absolutely deserves to make his own original Hollywood blockbuster. And here we are with Ryan Coogler's Sinners. And I was looking forward to this movie because I look forward to movies that have really good directors behind them. And when it's an original story, especially at this kind of scale, I get pretty excited. And as you know, the buzz from this movie since it came out in April has been off the fucking charts, with a lot of people claiming this is the best movie of the year, one of the best horror movies of all time, and it is already in talks to be the Best Picture frontrunner at next year's Academy Awards. And whenever that kind of hype happens, I do get pretty excited, but I try my absolute best to keep my expectations in check, especially when people come out of movies like this and use big M words like masterpiece or magnum opus. I think those kinds of things get more and more ridiculous, and it sets up too many people with too high of expectations. And I've come to learn that I have to try my best to tune that out going into movies, because then it feels like whenever you review something, you're reacting to the initial reviews. And I try my best to not do that. And I've learned to not really watch trailers either. I think they spoil too many things within a movie. Like going into this, I had no idea Michael B. Jordan was playing 2 different characters. All I knew was this was a vampire movie and nothing else besides that. And coming out of Sinners, I was like, yeah, that's a solid 3 out of 5 movie. So a lot of people are gonna think I hate it because of that. And if that's what you think of me, that's totally cool. But I am somebody that thinks seeing a 3 out of 5 star movie is worth going to see in theaters for the most part. When it gets into like 4-star and above territory, or even 3.5, that's when I'm really pushing somebody to be like, you have to go see this. But I told a lot of my friends to go out and see Sinners because I like supporting great directors with original movies. I brought my girlfriend, my friend that we always go to the movies together with, but my girlfriend's brother, my girlfriend's friend, we all went to the movie. I try and bring people to the original movies, okay? People like Ryan Coogler deserve to be supported so they can make more original movies that are outside of franchises. And I do think Sinners is a solid movie. Like I said, I think it has some great things about it. I just think there are so many little things that deter it from being a great movie for me. And it just doesn't reach the level of greatness that I think Coogler is capable of. Like, to me, Coogler has been talked about as this guy that has reached his peak, and I don't think he's there even close yet. Like, he's made a lot of solid movies, no doubt, but I do think this is a guy that's progressing a little bit more each time. Even though I don't think Sinners is his best movie, I do think he is doing things in Sinners that he hasn't even attempted in a lot of his other movies. So I think 20 years from now, yeah, Coogler can totally be in that conversation for me of best filmmaker working today. I don't think he's nearly in that class right now. And even though I pretty much try and see everything that I possibly can, I am someone that's self-aware enough to know that I can't recommend every movie to every type of person. Like Beau is Afraid was one of my favorite movies from 2023. Ain't no way I'm recommending that to my aunts or my friends. But there are some movies that are great or good, like Sinners, that I could recommend to people, and most of them will probably like it. Like, I was a little bit surprised, if I'm being honest, of how much casual audience members loved Sinners. My friend took his fiance to go see it, and she came out saying that was the best movie she's ever seen, which is awesome. But I've also talked to a lot of people that have seen the movie that are just regular people that watch a couple movies a year, and they were like, yeah, you know, it was okay. And for me, I probably lean more towards that person, even though I think it's a little bit better than okay, let's be real. But a lot lot of people are saying this is one of the best of the decade already, and to me, it doesn't even crack the top 5 of the year, and we're just getting to the halfway point of 2025. And I want to use this video as an excuse to talk about Sinners, because this is going to be a movie that's talked about for the rest of the year for sure. To talk about the things that I think hold it back from being a great movie, but also talk about the things I really like about what Coogler is doing in here, because I think there is a lot to praise about Sinners. And I get that I'm coming off a little bit disappointed, because I am a little bit disappointed, but I want to go through my pros and cons kind of simultaneously. Like, I'm not going to go through pros first and cons, because I think there's a lot of mixed things within different departments. It's not like, oh, the acting is terrible and the cinematography is great. There's a little bit of both when it comes to every aspect about this movie for me. But I will say the thing that is the most consistent about Sinners is anytime there is a scene revolving around music, whether that be music happening within the movie like diegetic sound or something like the soundtrack or the score, this movie is consistently going off in that department. This isn't even close to being my favorite Ludwig score, but the way this guy composes music, he is clearly a generational talent. He is clearly the next guy up behind Hans Zimmer. And yeah, I am definitely going to praise the one scene that everyone has been praising about this movie. The long take where it's showing different generations of music is truly incredible. It's one of the best sequences of the entire year. If the rest of the movie had me buzzing as much as I was buzzing in that one scene, yeah, this would probably be my favorite movie of the year. But there's also another scene earlier in the movie. It happens like right after a sex scene, and if you didn't see this in IMAX, you might not get the same effect. But it goes from the sex scene to just an IMAX shot of the sun while the music is going off. You know you're building up to the sort of turning point of the story. And in that moment, I was really thinking like, okay, this is where this movie is gonna get great. And it never fully gets there for me, but I think the way Coogler sets up the sequences, Ludwig composes them, and then Michael P. Shawver comes in to assemble them within the edit. It's just a deadly trio of artists coming together. These guys have been working together for a while now, and I think they are quite a good team. And even though this isn't my favorite movie from this trio, I do think it is the best showcase of how the three of them can collaborate and make something awesome. And I wish the rest of the movie lived up to those two sequences for me. I think one of the biggest issues I had with Sinners is the pacing of it. I know a lot of people say you shouldn't complain about pacing in a movie. I don't get why those people say that, because I am all for a slow burn, but man, the first 45 minutes of this movie, I can't say nothing happens, because they are setting up little things that will have payoffs later in the movie. They just do it in such a boring way for me. We're being introduced to the full ensemble of characters. We're learning more history about these two brothers, and there are a couple sequences or moments in there that are a couple seconds long that I do enjoy in the first act. But I had an early screening of Sinners. We're talking the show probably started at like 4 or 5 p.m. and I was yawning. Like if the showtime started at 9 p.m., it's like, okay, maybe you could get a couple yawns in there. But when it's in the middle of the afternoon, it's like, come on, you shouldn't be making me yawn at this point. And then once we transition into the night, pretty much around that sequence I was talking about where you see the sun in the IMAX and the music is going off, then you start to think like, okay, we're really starting to get into the swing of things here. And then as the party goes on, we're getting more and more exciting sequences, like the big music one take that I brought up earlier, the buildup of the vampires coming in and out, trying to get through the door. There's a lot of great moments that keep building throughout the climax of the movie. And it's just this consistent buildup of like, man, we are getting closer and closer. Like, I am seeing the hype. I see where this movie becomes the best movie of the year. I could see that Coogler is about to deliver that. And right where, like, if the climax is here and you're building here, instead of like a natural progression here, it just kind of spikes to here. Like, it almost feels like 10 or 15 minutes before the final action set piece just got cut. Actually, not the final action set piece. If you know what I'm talking about, within the party, that final action set piece, it's just like there's 5 or 10 minutes to 15 minutes before that feel like it's missing. And that sucks, because I do think Coogler, 85% of that sequence, he does masterfully. I think it's one of the reasons a lot of people love this movie. I just feel like there should have been a bit more. Like, it didn't feel like it delivered on what it was promising by the end of it. When it comes to the characters, you have Michael B. Jordan, who plays the brothers Smoke and Stack. And I really like Michael B. Jordan. I think he's a very talented actor. I like him personally a lot. I do think he is really good in this movie. I think more so my complaints are less with him and more the use of the two characters in here, because they just don't feel distinct from each other at all. Like, sure, you could say one is a tiny bit more aggressive in their personality and maybe is a bit more of a risk taker, but 90% of the movie you can't really tell who is who besides the different outfits of one guy's wearing a red hat, one's wearing a blue hat. And I think if you just took those outfit pieces away, like I get it's supposed to be a visual identity that the audience can understand who is different. But if those two were just talking to each other, you would have no idea who is who because they're not really distinct in any sort of way. Besides the love interests and the color coding of their outfits, they are pretty much copy and paste characters to me. There are a couple distinctions. I'm not going to act like there is zero difference in the characters, but in the moment to moment parts of the movie, when there's a lot of things going on, it never feels like you know who is who. At least for me, there were a lot of moments where I kind of got lost in it a bit. And even though I didn't like Mickey 17 that much this year, the way Bong Joon-ho was able to film multiple Robert Pattinsons felt so seamless in that movie. I think it was the best part about Mickey 17. And in here, there's a couple shots where the lighting is just so different on the two Michael B. Jordans, and it's just so painfully obvious that they're not in the same scene together that it became a little bit distracting for me. I don't like being that nitpicky of a person, but I just felt like I wasn't able to do that in Mickey 17. It just felt so seamless the entire time. But in terms of impressive new talent, you have Miles Caton, who plays this kid blues singer that is unbelievable. And to have an unbelievable voice is one thing. Like clearly he could sing his ass off. He is the perfect fit for this character in the movie. But I think he's also a pretty impressive actor. Like for sure, he's guaranteed to have an awesome career in the music industry. But I think if he wants more roles, he doesn't need to be the guy that has to sing in a movie. I think he's clearly talented, and I'm excited to see where his career goes from here. Delroy Lindo, though, as Delta Slim, by far my favorite character in the movie. There are so many actors that would take that old comedic role a bit too cheesy in a direction. Like even somebody that is talented, I could see going too far with it, and it would just get maybe corny after a while. Not the case with Delroy Lindo. He continues to be one of the most underused actors. Like I think it's clear a lot of people have come to respect his game a lot more, but I think in terms of the mainstream audience, there's still a lot of people that are unfamiliar with him. And I hope when a movie is this big and you could see how good he is, he gets some more mainstream roles and some lead roles, because I think the guy is super talented. And then you have Jack O'Connell, who plays the main villain, the main vampire in this movie. And you could tell this guy's an up and comer in Hollywood, especially if you've seen 28 Years Later. He's clearly going to have a major role in the next movie in that franchise. And I think he is really good in this movie. I think he is really solid with doing the creepy vampire thing, but he never takes it to an extreme. Like he perfectly rides the wave of this is just creepy enough, this is just genre enough, but he doesn't take it that extra step where it's a little too much or a little too memeable, even though they've made memes about him already. And he also has this bit of sadness to the character that Coogler does a really good job of hinting at. And I'm excited to see where this guy's career goes too. I think he is a really good villainous performer. I'd like to see him in a non-villain role at some point. I wanted to see more of him in the movie, but at the same time, I think he had just enough screen time. Like if he was in the movie for 5 more minutes, maybe it would have started to feel a bit more like his movie or a bit more overdone or different than what they were trying to accomplish, but it's a damn good character. Hailee didn't have the most to do in this movie, even though the drool moment probably got the biggest reaction out of my theater. I think she is good anytime she has the chance to be on screen, and clearly there's a lot of history to the character that Coogler knows about that he hints at in this movie, which I do respect, but I just felt like she was a bit underutilized, especially for how good she is in the moments that she gets. Like Jack O'Connell, I feel like had the perfect amount of screen time for his character. I feel like Hailee's deserved to be in the movie a little bit more than she was. I'm also probably the 57th person to say that this film itself looks beautiful, and it's cool that a lot of people respect that now, because Kodak had the genius idea of putting out that 10-minute video of Ryan Coogler breaking down different film strips on how you actually film a movie and different ways you could see a film projected in different theaters. I thought he did the best, most unpretentious breakdown of that. I got to see this in IMAX, not the 70 millimeter, which is in very few locations in the country, but in regular, smaller IMAX, it was still pretty cool. And if this got nominated for Best Cinematography at the end of the year for the Oscars, I would not complain. I think it is one of the best parts of the movie. The cinematographer is Autumn Gerald Archipel, and I think she's got a great future in the industry because she shot The Last Showgirl last year, which was a movie I really did not like at all. But the best thing about that movie that I came out of saying was two things, actually. Jamie Lee Curtis's performance and the cinematography. That movie looks beautiful. So I'm excited to see if she teams up with Coogler in the future and who else she decides to collaborate with in her career, because she is seriously talented. I have also been saying for years that a lot of directors have to start taking advantage of post-credit scenes. I know Marvel has made it a bit of a joke to stay to the end of the credits and see 30 seconds of a tease of something that will happen for another movie that they are marketing. But I'm saying how certain filmmakers have realized how you can tie up a bow perfectly on your movie when it comes to the final credits. I think Calling by Your Name is still my favorite example of the past 10 years of doing this. If you want to go back to the movie Cachet, that also has a great example of using the credits to help finish your story. Sinners does it in a more obvious, literal way, but I still think it's a great way to end the film. It feels like it's maybe setting up for a sequel, like it could, and what a sequel to Sinners would look like. I'm not really fiending for that at the moment, if I'm being honest. But if Coogler returns and it is something he is passionate about, I will still go, obviously. But I just feel like where the movie ends, it just feels like, okay, we made Sinners. This is the full, complete story. It could sit by itself. I'm sure with the success, there will be a sequel at some point. But I do kind of prefer if they would just leave this one alone, I think. And if I'm going to complain about one other thing about this movie, I would be hypocritical if I don't do it for this film. It's the use of jump scares. And the first one that comes to mind is literally in the opening sequence of the movie where Miles Caton is coming up to the church and he walks in and there's some sort of dialogue exchange between him and the priest. But then as they're talking, there's just crazy jump scares inserted in the middle of the conversation. It feels like you're in an Insidious movie at that point. And it's like, what are we doing? It just makes the whole film feel cheaper than it actually is. And I don't care if you're the biggest Sinners fan in the world, you will never convince me that was a good choice. It just feels like the studio forced Coogler to include it. And maybe I'm wrong on that. Maybe Ryan Coogler wanted it in there from the get-go to help set the tone. I thought it was a pretty lame choice. So to me, overall, Sinners is like a double-edged sword. It's like, yes, this is a solid, original Hollywood blockbuster from a legit director. It deserves to be seen. I'm tired of movies like this flopping. Like, Sinners definitely could have fit in the category of another box office bomb from a really good director, so then he's forced to make more Marvel sequels. Like, I'm happy Sinners is not in that category. But I also think we as movie fans have to be careful of giving all of the accolades to a movie that is just solid, but everyone keeps praising as this incredible achievement of like, this is the best movie of the year. We finally got an original movie. Give it Best Picture. Because when you do stuff like that and you treat movies like this that are good, that are solid, as the incredible movies, the ones that we think deserve to be timeless classics. I mean, time will tell if Sinners is a timeless classic or not on its own, but I don't think it's on that legendary level. And I really think when we say it is, it lowers the standard for the rest of the industry. People are acting like this is the best movie Ryan Coogler will ever make. I think we are far from whatever Ryan Coogler's best movie is. I think he's going to make 4 to 5 more that are better than Sinners. And maybe at that point, he will hit the incredible status in my head that he has for a lot of people already. For every single movie that he makes, I will be first in line to tell you that, okay, Ryan Coogler proved he is the man, that he is in this elite status that a lot of directors aim to be in. My motto will and always will be, go support good filmmakers making original movies so we get more of them. It's a solid 3 out of 5 for me, but like I always say, a 3 out of 5 is worth going to see in the theaters if you have the time and money to do so. You can now rent this movie if you want. If you're one of the few that hasn't seen it, there's no better time to get in on the hype. I hope you end up loving it as much as a lot of people. If this is your favorite movie of the year, I'd love to have a conversation in the comments down below. I think it's awesome that this movie is getting as much hype as it has. This is Chase. Thank you so much for watching as always. And if you want to see me talk about the next 17 masterpieces of 2025, be sure to subscribe.